Hi everybody, Beanmeister22 here, and my lovely assistant is here also, as you can clearly see. Okay, what are we doing today? We're doing Kinder Surprise Eggs! That's right, everybody loves Kinder Surprise Eggs, right? And really quick now at this point in the video, I should say, yes, Kinder Surprise Eggs are not legal here in the United States. This video is being filmed in Canada, just to be safe. So today we are looking at some very cool Kinder Surprise Egg Marvel superhero twist heads. Well, they're not all twist heads. There's some of these other weird things in there, like these flying banners with a rubber thing and a banner in your throat. Woo, it says superhero on it. I don't know about that, but these little twist heads are amazing. Remember the Star Wars twist head video we did? Or I should say videos we did, because we did a couple of them because we had several different openings. And this is the amazing thing that most kids here in the U.S. have never heard about it. Most people in the U.S. have never got to, to enjoy, is the collecting. Open the egg. Wow, I got this one. Wow, now I have 12 of this one. I wanted the other one. I'm trying to collect it. And like baseball cards that you get your little piece of gum and you collect your baseball cards or football cards or basketball cards. You collect the different toys and items in here, and you still have the chocolate to eat. So even if you don't get the one you want, hey, you still got the chocolate. And if you live here in the U.S., there's something else you don't know, that for years and years and years, they've had these chocolate surprise eggs, and there are people who've been collecting the toys ever since. Just like a long time ago, people used to People used to collect those Cracker Jack toys. Now, for those of you who don't know what a Cracker Jack is, it's a box with a caramel and the peanut and the popcorn. And for the other people who know what a Cracker Jack is and open it up and say, well, just use a piece of paper or a Bazooka Joe type joke in there now. No, they used to come with real toys. Look it up. Now, granted, I'm not old enough to actually been from the real toy era. That's probably kind of the mid-range thing, which mostly it was maybe a teeny tiny horrible toy, or one of those little things where you draw the beard on the bald guy sort of thing. But long time ago, they used to have real toys, like little die-cast cars and things. Yeah, anyways. So, if you live in the United States, here in the good old USA, and you've never heard of a Kinder Surprise Egg, well, that's because your government says you are too stupid to own one, and to eat one, and to have one. Well, that may not be the case. Let me tell you why. Kinder Surprise Eggs are illegal in the U.S. Not just Kinder Surprise Egg, any surprise egg that meets these specific specifications. If it is a chocolate egg that has a toy or a non-edible item inside, it could be a toy, it could be a diamond ring. If it has a non-edible item inside, it is illegal in the US of A. That law was passed in 1938. In 1938, what in the world was going on? Were people choking on toys inside of chocolate eggs? Nope, that ain't what happened. We have to look all the way back to 1938 and that law and say, hey, if kids weren't choking on toys inside eggs, why did they pass that law? And I'll tell you, it's called protectionism. U.S. manufacturers say, hey, these foreign manufacturers, these evil companies from another country, are making a product and we don't want to compete with them, so you need to ban it and make it illegal. Yeah, it's called protectionism. That's how these things happen. Now, at this point, let me touch on this really quick. Down there at Mardi Gras, they have those fancy little cakes that have the toys inside, the little baby inside. How come that is not illegal? Well, I'll tell you. The law was specifically written for candy manufacturers. The law says you cannot have a non-edible item inside a confectionery, a candy. So if it's a cake or a Twinkie or something else, hey, we're good with that. Candy? No. That alone right there should tell you it has to do with protectionism, not people choking on things. Because anybody who's never seen a Kinder Surprise Egg, the first time you hear about it, you say, someone's going to choke on it. There's a toy, kid's going to get the egg and eat it and choke on it and die. Hey, those of you around the world who are laughing at this point, think about it. You grew up with Kinder Surprise Eggs. You had them at holidays. You had them all the time. Oh, you have this, you have Easter, you have Christmas, you have Halloween eggs. There's eggs for all times of the years, for holidays, and just cool eggs to have, like the ones we have here. So if you've never knew about these before, you can understand how people in the US of A don't quite get it. And it really isn't our fault. It's our government's fault and what they did back in 1938. Because you all know around the world that in the Kinder Surprise Egg, the toy just isn't loose in there and you're not going to choke on it. You open the Kinder Surprise Egg, the Zany Surprise Egg, any kind of surprise egg, you open it up and there's a module, a package, a capsule in there. You're not going to choke on that. And even funnier than this is, what about those maxi eggs? They're almost the size of a small Nerf football, and the capsule inside there is huge. You could choke a horse with that, but not a kid. So every once in a while in the U.S., somebody who knows about a Kinder Surprise egg, who's been overseas or used to live overseas or had illegal ones that have been imported in the country, because it happens every once in a while. You'll see them in stores by the border. Then the government will raid it, and then, oh, they'll take away our eggs. So every once in a while, somebody starts a petition or some kind of drive. Hey, we should make those legal here in the U.S. And the petitions never get enough signatures because people don't know what they are. Kinder Surprise, you'll choke on that. Kind of like in that Christmas story, Red Ryder BB gun, you'll shoot your eye out. That's how it is with Kinder Surprise egg. Toy in there, you're going to choke on that. What are you, stupid? You'll choke on it. How many kids all around the world of the millions and millions of eggs have choked on one? I've never heard of any. How many kids have choked on Lego? Well, I don't know how many have choked on Lego or toy bricks or plastic army men or any other toy, but I guarantee it's more than who have choked on a Kinder Surprise egg, because we'd have heard about it. Now, that's not to say somebody didn't open a Kinder Surprise egg, get the little toy out, play with it, and then a week later stick that toy in their mouth and choke on it. Well, that happens, right? So if you live in the USA and you don't know what a Kinder Surprise egg, or you just learned what a Kinder Surprise egg is recently, you have been robbed. You have been robbed of your childhood and great memories of having surprise eggs, which my friends all over the world have those memories. They have those things because they've done it, they're doing it because their government isn't trying to rip them off or cheat them or say they're too stupid to eat chocolate and non-chocolate with a toy in there. And yeah, but we already know it's not a choking thing. But that's what comes up. People who are ignorant, and ignorant doesn't mean you're stupid, it means you just don't know. People who are ignorant, they say, well, you'll choke on that. So that is why they are not legal in the U.S., even though people here in the U.S. who know about them say, yeah, they should be, we should do something about it. And then, would you like to sign this petition saying to make these legal? What the heck is that? It's a chocolate egg with a toy in there? You're going to choke on that. And that's what happens. In a previous video, I said, look, the whole situation sucks. There's nothing we can do about it along those lines. So I blame Hershey's. And I blame Zany and Kinder and all the other manufacturers of surprise eggs around the world. Why did I throw Hershey's in there? Well, because they're a major U.S. chocolate manufacturer. So let's say Kinder, Ferrero, whoever makes the Kinder Surprise eggs or whoever makes Zany, they come to the U.S., they go visit Hershey's. Is that in Hershey, Pennsylvania? Where they have that Hersheyland amusement park? Anyways, they go visit Hershey and say, hey, I got a deal for you. This is a surprise egg. We should get together and make them in a partnership, and you should go to the U.S. government and get that law changed. And Hershey should say, yeah, that's a great idea. We can license them from you, make them in the U.S., and we'll all make money. And not only will we all make money, but everyone in the U.S., whether young or old or girl or boy or big or small, will get a chance to have a very cool Kinder/Hershey surprise egg. Now, I'm not saying that hasn't happened before, but if it had happened, we'd actually have legal surprise eggs here in the U.S., so I'm pretty sure it hasn't happened. So, for those of you outside the United States, that's the problem we have. And I always get the comments, yeah, kids in the U.S. are stupid if they're going to choke on this. Well, they would be if they did, I guess. The thing is, kids in the USA don't even know these exist. But with YouTube, and I think if anything is going to change this, it might be YouTube, because if you type in surprise egg, Kinder Surprise egg, I mean, if you type in, let's say, Star Wars now, chances are you're going to come up with a Star Wars surprise egg, or like those SpongeBob surprise eggs I had that came from, what were those, from Austria or something? Anyways, so even a kid in the U.S. who's never heard of it could accidentally stumble and say, wow, that's the coolest thing. Because I get these emails all the time. Hey, where can I get them? Where can I get them? Well, unless you want to go to Canada or Mexico, you ain't going to get them in the U.S. And occasionally we get the comments that say, well, you know, I used to buy these at a store all the time. Well, that is either correct or it's not correct. It's correct if, let's say, they were in Michigan or Minnesota or something, they were at a small store and they saw them at a display and bought some. That happens every once in a while. I read about it in the paper, I read about it online, and that's because I purposely go search out these articles looking for them. So you may or may not stumble on an article about, hey, there was a store that was importing them because I didn't know they were illegal. Let's say you live in Chicago and you take a trip up to Canada. You go up to Niagara Falls and you see, wow, these really cool Kinder Surprise eggs right there in the stores. These are great. So you contact the manufacturer. Hey, I need you to ship me 40 dozen of them to my store in Chicago. And then they ship them. And it wasn't illegal. Well, it was, but it wasn't purposely illegal. We're talking intent here, the intent of the law. It wasn't purposely illegal because the dude in Canada had no idea they weren't legal in the U.S. And the store owner in the U.S. in Chicago, he had no idea they weren't legal in the U.S. because he'd never heard of them before. And really, who in their right mind would think a chocolate candy with a toy surprise would be illegal? So I just ask for some patience with us backwards Americans, because we really don't know how cool a surprise egg can be. And with that said, I make it a point every time I go to a foreign country, yes, a country outside the United States. Every time I go to a country outside the United States, I buy Kinder Surprise eggs. I open them, I film them, I try to collect the toys. Well, not like you cool kids who've been able to collect these things all your life, but I try to get what I can get. But I won't try to bring them back over the border. Now, I have more than once opened them up, separated all the chocolate, put it in a baggie, and separated all the toys and put them in another baggie, and then came across the border. Because at that point, they're not really illegal, because it's just some chocolate in a sack and some toys over here in this other sack. What's illegal about that? So, if you live in the U.S., do some searches about Kinder Surprise eggs, and then look about the $3,500 fine you can get charged for having a single egg. Normally, they just want to confiscate it from you if you try to cross the border. I don't know it from personal experience. I know it from all the articles I read, and it really comes down to, they say, hey, that's illegal in the U.S., and somebody says, well, I'm keeping it, and then they charge them a bunch of money, and then they work it out in court. Or somebody tries crossing the border with one of the eggs, and they say, hey, that's illegal, you can't have it. They say, here you are, officer, take it. And I don't know, does that guy take it home to his kids? Maybe. Because when I was a kid growing up, and fireworks, another illegal thing we're not supposed to have in most places here in the U.S., when we would get caught lighting off fireworks, which may or may not have happened. When we would get caught lighting off fireworks, the cops would say, hey, you're not supposed to do that, and they would confiscate them from us, and it was always the cop in the neighborhood whose kids had the best fireworks, because he would take them, he would confiscate them, I'm making finger quotes now, confiscate them, from the kids he, caught lighting the fireworks off. Now, it was a win-win situation, because we didn't want to go to juvie, we didn't want to get arrested or get fined or anything as kids, or have our parents know we were lighting off fireworks, which may or may not have happened. And the cop, instead of turning them in and filling out a bunch of paperwork, he brought them home and him and his kids lit off all those fireworks. Yeah, it's ridiculous. So by personal experience, that's probably what happens with some of these surprise eggs, too. And every once in a while, I get a PM from somebody who says, these are illegal, I just brought a whole bunch of these back from Canada, I had no idea they were illegal. Yeah, it happens, but it wasn't your fault. You had no idea they were illegal because there's no reason they should be illegal. It's not like they're made in a meth lab or filled with cocaine or pot or something. Well, pot's legal where I live now, so, okay. You can get pot here, but I can't get a Kinder Surprise egg. Yeah. I don't know. America's turning upside down. Or, this isn't a new thing, though, because it's been illegal since 1938. So, number one, do some searches, learn about them, and say, hey, how come people all over the world have had these and I can't have them? Number two, write a letter to Hershey and say, hey, Hershey, how come you don't make Kinder Surprise eggs? Well, they're not Kinder Surprise eggs. Kinder Surprise egg, you'll like this, Kinder Surprise egg is almost becoming a generic term for a surprise egg. Just like in the U.S. where you say, hey, hand me a Kleenex. Kleenex, even though it's a brand name, is becoming a generic term for a tissue. So anytime you see a surprise egg, someone says, that's a Kinder Surprise egg. Well, no, it's not a Kinder Surprise egg. This one's made by Zany. Or, hey, that's not a Kinder Surprise egg. This is made by Bip. Or this is made by this company or that company. Those SpongeBob ones for Austria were amazing. Go back and check that video out. Because they'd had half milk chocolate and then half white chocolate. Unlike the Kinder Surprise eggs, which is milk chocolate on the outside and a thin layer of white chocolate inside. Unlike the Zany eggs or some of the other eggs, which is just milk chocolate. And sometimes the chocolate is okay, sometimes it's nasty, sometimes it's pretty good, but really you don't get these for the chocolate. You get them for the toy surprise. And if you've ever seen it before, I recently did a video about how to make your own surprise eggs at home. And if you say surprise egg, no one will know what it is, so you're going to say Kinder Surprise Egg, even though it's not a Kinder Surprise Egg. How to make your own at home with a John Adams Surprise Egg Homemaker. That's right. Now, granted, that was a fail video because we just was horrible at making those eggs. But we tried, and I think with practice we can make some really cool eggs. And think about the pranks you could do with this. You make a chocolate surprise egg, you stick a fake diamond ring or some fake diamond earrings in them, you know, some cubic zirconia ones that instead of, $2,000 you paid $12.09 for. Or in the case of those diamond earrings I had, cubic zirconia, the CZ, or QZ. Anyways, the cubic zirconia ones I had, which were like $9.99 for 3 of them. They were a fancy brand. Check the video out. So, you can make them yourself at home, but I guess the minute you put them together and seal it, if there is a non-food item in there, it becomes illegal. A little more research going to have to be done on that sort of thing. Because is it you can't have the eggs, they're illegal to have, or they're just illegal to import? I'm not sure about that, and I am not giving any legal advice. The only legal advice I can give, which isn't legal advice, it's common sense, is don't have Kinder Surprise Eggs, Zany Surprise Eggs, Chocolate Surprise Egg, good generic term. Don't have these chocolate surprise eggs here in the U.S. Get them in those other countries, open them and eat them in those other countries, and don't try to bring them in the U.S. It's not worth it. Now, really quick, there is a almost generic want-to-be chocolate surprise egg here in the United States. It's made by Choco Treasure. I don't know if they still make it. I haven't seen it in a while. They were horrible. And they were horrible for one reason. The toys really were, okay, 2 reasons. The toys really weren't that good, and the chocolate wasn't that good. But how they got around the not being illegal sort of thing was, instead of the egg having that little capsule inside, the chocolate was actually built on to the capsule where the toy was inside. So it's just like the plastic Easter eggs we get here in the U.S. Cover it with chocolate, put a little lip in there so you can pop it apart, bam. Really not much different than the standard chocolate surprise egg. The capsule is bigger. The capsule is the exact size of chocolate. I think it has something to do with they can say, well, it really isn't a toy inside of a chocolate egg. It's just a chocolate-covered plastic egg. And the toys in there were just horrible, except one of my favorite surprise egg toys actually came out of one of those Choco Treasure eggs, and it was a mini deck of cards. I have that in a video somewhere. It was a mini, teeny, tiny deck of cards. This deck of cards was probably about 1¼ inches tall and maybe 1 inch or 3/4 of an inch wide, and it was a full deck of cards, so they're like the size of your thumb, and you can play a full deck of cards. That was pretty cool. Gotta admit that. Other than that, everything else was horrible. So, they don't have these in the U.S. Choco Treasure kind of makes something close. It's not the same, and look how cool this is. Check out these twist heads, and you gotta love these twist heads. They come with that little string there. You can use them as a puppet. You can hang them on your Christmas tree, like Christmas tree ornaments. We did that with the Star Wars one time. You can hang them around your room, or you can snip those strings off and use them as little minifigs to play cool, whatever you want to play. Star Wars, superhero, whatever. Somewhere around here I have a video. I don't know where it is. We had the surprise eggs that had those Disney fairies in there. Little hand-painted detail. Very cool items can come in surprise eggs. But here in the U.S., we wouldn't know that because, we're deprived. We're deprived. All right, so what do you think? Do you know what surprise eggs are? Yes, if you live outside the U.S., you know what a surprise egg is. If you live inside the U.S., you might kind of be sure, but really, you don't know what a surprise egg is. So, number 1. Contact Hershey's and say, hey, how come you don't make these things? Number 2, do searches on YouTube and on the internet and start learning about this because this is amazing and you can't have it. If you live in the U.S., you can't have it. And you can't have it just because your government says you can't have a surprise egg. No reason, you just can't have it. So, you want it changed? Do something about the law. All right. Good, bad, ugly, what do you think? These twist heads are amazingly cool, and yeah, there's some horrible things, horrible prizes that come in surprise eggs too. All right, and also do not get these Kinder Surprise Eggs, the Zany Surprise Eggs, the Bip Surprise Eggs, or all those other no-name surprise eggs from all over the world. Don't get those confused with the Choco Treasures made in the U.S., which are legal and certainly not the same thing. Is Choco Treasure super, super, super horrible? No, not really. I mean, if it's all you can get, it's not bad. And also, don't get these confused with like the plastic surprise eggs or plastic eggs we get at Easter, or now there are U.S. manufacturers who call them plastic surprise eggs or surprise eggs. And they're not real surprise eggs. They're just one of those plastic eggs with Dora candy inside or a toy or candy inside and then plastic around the outside. It's not a chocolate surprise egg. It's not a real surprise egg. It's not a Kinder surprise egg. It isn't real. So if you don't like the law, get it changed. Other than that, enjoy the videos here. And know this was filmed in Canada. This was not filmed in the US because we have to abide by the law until it's changed. Last thing you want to do is become an outlaw because you had some chocolate candy eggs. What are you doing in jail? I had some chocolate candy eggs. Oh, really? I'm in for murder. Good to know you. Yeah, I don't want to be an egg criminal, a chocolate egg criminal. So, leave your comments in the comment section. And hey, as always, thanks for watching.
Beanmeister 22, the most dangerous man on YouTube.